Welcome to this video presentation on converting to QuickBooks Online. This video is designed to give you the knowledge, tips, and tricks to easily convert to QuickBooks Online. The objectives for this video are to learn what to expect from the conversion, learn how to convert your file, and understand what the next steps are to getting started. Let's start by defining what is QuickBooks Online. First of all, it's online, cloud-based accounting software. This means that the data as well as the software is hosted by Intuit. No longer will you have desktop data and software. All of it will be hosted in the cloud and accessible through your internet browser. The software provides all of the standard accounting transactions and tasks that you've come to expect from QuickBooks. So it provides the following: tracking for your day-to-day transactions in sales, including invoices and sales receipts. It tracks all of your expenses like debit and credit cards, bills and checks. It helps you manage all of your banking, including bank feeds, transfers, and account reconciliations. And then it handles all of your compliance-related tasks like sales tax tracking and small business payroll. Now, before we get started in the conversion process, it's important to take a few notes about what to expect from the conversion. First, it's okay to know that you are going to be able to sign up for a free trial and take it for a test drive. This means that when you convert your QuickBooks Desktop file, you can try QuickBooks Online for a trial period for 30 days. As well, you have the comfort to know that your QuickBooks Desktop file remains the same and intact. You also have the comfort to know that QuickBooks is there to support you all along the way with free training and support. Now, before we get started, let's understand a little bit more about what the conversion does for you and what the conversion won't do for you. First, what does it do? First of all, it imports all of your list information, including customers, suppliers, items, or what we call products and services, and accounts. It also imports all of the opening balances for all of these names and accounts. Finally, it imports all of your transaction details. There are a few exceptions which we'll talk about in the next couple of moments. Now, you might wonder what the conversion won't do for you. You'll see that there's a number of things that it doesn't do. However, there's a number of explanations that are needed to better explain what QuickBooks is doing for you during the conversion process. Number one, inventory. QuickBooks Online does inventory. However, it does not convert the desktop inventory into QuickBooks Online. The reason is because QuickBooks Online handles inventory using the FIFO method, or first in, first out method. You can contrast that with the desktop version that uses the average weighted cost method. The conversion from one to the other does not go very smoothly, so it's recommended that you turn the inventory off and you start fresh when you go into QuickBooks Online. Number two, multi-currency transactions. The automatic conversion does not convert multi-currency transactions for you. However, if you give Intuit a call, they'd be more than happy to help you with this conversion. They have a service that they can do it for you. So you can rest assured that the conversion will work, but you just have to get Intuit's help with it. Number three, form templates. All of the templates that you see in QuickBooks Desktop will have to be recreated once you get into QuickBooks Online. This is a complex task that cannot be accomplished through the conversion. Likewise, memorized reports will have to be recreated in QuickBooks Online as well. Payroll. Just like inventory, QuickBooks Online does payroll. However, the conversion from desktop to online does not include the payroll transactions or the names in your payroll list. This is something that you'll have to redo when you get into QuickBooks Online using a very convenient tool called year-to-date amounts. Number 6, bank reconciliations. It's a good idea to do your bank reconciliations before you move to QuickBooks Online because you'll have to do one big one when you get into the online version, and we'll show you how to accomplish that. Users. You'll have to set up the users that you have in QuickBooks Desktop in QuickBooks Online. This is a very simple process that will only take a few moments of your time to set up once again. Finally, the Premier features. Items like sales orders, items with units of measure, build assemblies, and price levels do not get converted. That is because those features are exclusively available in the QuickBooks Desktop Premier version and are not available in QuickBooks Online. We hope that this clarifies what the conversion does for you and what it doesn't do for you. Now let's take a look at a demonstration on how to convert to QuickBooks Online. Now you're ready to start the conversion process. Before going any further, it's a good idea to follow these 5 tips to make sure that you get the most out of your conversion. Number 1, reconcile the bank. It's a good idea to reconcile your bank to the most recent transaction statement. The reason you'll do this is it makes it easy to have the reconciliation reports from QuickBooks Desktop to use as reference when you get into QuickBooks Online. Since you'll have to do one big catch-up reconcile in QuickBooks Online, it's useful to have reports to refer back to. To reconcile, click the banking menu at the top, click Reconcile. You'll enter your ending balance and statement date as you normally would, and then click Continue. Now you'll continue and reconcile your account as you normally would every month. Once you've reconciled your account, you'll click Reconcile Now, and that will reconcile your bank account. It's a good idea to do this for all accounts that you normally reconcile, including bank accounts and credit card accounts. Step number 2. File your sales taxes. It's a good idea to have all your sales taxes filed before you do a conversion. You can always file them in QuickBooks Online, but it's a best practice to do it in QuickBooks Desktop. To file sales taxes, click Sales Tax, File Sales Tax. I'll type in the Receiver General, and there you'll see that my sales tax filings are complete, so I do not need to go and file anything further. To review that, or to review what you've done, you can go to the Sales Tax menu and then click View Prior Sales Tax Returns. And there you see that I've accomplished the task of filing sales tax. Step number 3. If you use QuickBooks Desktop for payroll, it's a good idea to pay your payroll liabilities before converting. To do this, you'll go to the Employees menu, click Payroll Liabilities, and then click Pay Payroll Liabilities. You'll enter the date, then click OK. You'll see that I've already paid my payroll liabilities. If you haven't, it's a good idea to do it here. That way, when you get into QuickBooks Online, you don't have to worry about complex entries that could have been accomplished in QuickBooks Desktop. Step number 4, turn off payroll. Since you can't convert your payroll transactions and names, it's just a good idea to turn it off. To turn off the payroll, click the Edit menu and go to Preferences. Then click Payroll and Employees, Company Preferences, and finally select No Payroll. This will turn off the payroll and make the conversion process easy. Click OK. Finally, step number 5, turn off inventory if you're using QuickBooks Desktop for inventory. Once again, I'll click Edit, I'll click Preferences, Items in Inventory, and then Company Preferences. And I'll make sure that I clear the check mark that's in here under Inventory and Purchase Orders are active. Finally, click OK. Those are the 5 steps that we recommend to take care of before you convert your file to QuickBooks Online. Now that you've prepared to do the conversion, you're ready to take the next step and convert the file. In QuickBooks Desktop, you'll click on the Company menu and then click Export Company File to QuickBooks Online. I've already set up my QuickBooks Online subscription, so I have a user ID and password. If you don't already have a user ID and password, please visit QuickBooks.ca and sign up for QuickBooks there. So now I'll enter my user ID I'll enter my password. I'll select I have read and agreed to the terms of service, and then I click Sign In. QuickBooks then asks me, where should we put your company file? So it wants to know if it wants to replace the trial that I've already set up, or does it want to create a new QuickBooks Online company? I want to select it to replace the trial I've already set up. So I'll choose that from the drop-down arrow. Please note that if you've done any work in your sample file that you've already set up as a free trial, it will overwrite all of that information. Usually this doesn't happen, but it's important to know that it will happen if that situation applies to you. Next, I'll click Continue. Now QuickBooks exports the data out of QuickBooks Desktop and into QuickBooks Online. At this point, it is going to work behind the scenes to convert the data from your desktop file into QuickBooks Online, and it indicates that it will send you a confirmation email to the email address on file when it's completed. From here, I'll click OK, got it. Now we'll wait to receive our email to continue on in QuickBooks Online. Now that you've done the conversion process, you're ready to log in and see what QuickBooks has done for you. I'll visit the site ca.qbo.intuit.com. It's a good idea to bookmark this page so that you can get back to it very easily. I'm going to enter my username and password. Then I'll click Sign In. QuickBooks takes a moment and signs in for me. Now that I've entered my username and password, QuickBooks opens up to the home page. I'll start by just cleaning up the home page a little bit. Now it's a good idea once you've done the conversion to test what QuickBooks Online contains for information against what you've got in QuickBooks Desktop. It gives you the peace of mind that the conversion was done accurately. So what we'll do is we'll first of all run some reports in QuickBooks Online and compare them to QuickBooks Desktop. To run a report in QuickBooks Online, you click the Reports menu. And the first one I'll run is Profit and Loss. And I'll choose the accrual basis and click Finish. And then I'll run a report for all the date range. So I'll choose All Dates and then click Run Report. And QuickBooks runs a report for that period of time. In our case, all the dates. Now I'm going to go enter the same information into QuickBooks Desktop. So I'll click on the Reports menu in QuickBooks Desktop, and I'll go to Company and Financial and choose Profit and Loss Standard. and I'll run the same report for the same date range. Now, it's going to be a good idea to look at these side by side. So I'll use the handy feature of moving this over here. And I'll do the same here. And I'll be able to look at our reports side by side. So I'm going to look first of all at my profit and loss for my QuickBooks Online company and compare that with my desktop company. So there you see my profit and loss for the same period of time equals $108,000, $385.16. And there you see it matches. So we have the peace of mind that our profit and loss matches from the QuickBooks Desktop version with my QuickBooks Online version. Now I should probably do the same thing for my balance sheet. So I'll click on the Reports page once again, and I'll select Balance Sheet. And I'll see for today's date, and I'll go do the same thing in QuickBooks Desktop. I'll choose Reports, Company and Financial, and choose Balance Sheet Standard. And there you see QuickBooks gives me the exact same information in QuickBooks Desktop and in QuickBooks Online. This is to get the peace of mind that the conversion was done 100% accurately for you. Now that QuickBooks has completed the conversion for you and you've tested that everything is accurate, you're now ready to complete the 3 or 4 tasks that need to be accomplished after you convert to QuickBooks. These tasks are the following. 1. Set up new users. 2. Customize your forms. 3. Customize reports. And 4. Reconcile the bank. Let's start by talking about setting up users. In QuickBooks, you can click on 3 different ways to get around QuickBooks Online. First, you can click on the Create menu, as we call it, and that's where you're going to do most of your transactions on a day-to-day basis. Things like sales, expenses, employee-type transactions such as time, and doing other transactions like journal entries or bank deposits. To find the information you enter using the Create menu, you can use the navigation bar on the left-hand pane of QuickBooks. You can view your customers or suppliers. You can view employees as well. And you can view other items like transactions. So if you wanted to see lists of sales or expenses, you can click on the appropriate lists here. You can also view reports, manage your sales tax, and view integrated applications that integrate with the software. Finally, the third method of getting around is what we call the company menu, and it's in the top right corner of your QuickBooks window. This window contains important but less frequently used tasks. Things like accessing your chart of accounts or your products and services, reconciling your accounts, and under your company, managing your account and managing users. Let's start there. Once you've converted to QuickBooks, you'll have to set up the users you may have had in your QuickBooks Desktop file. To do this, click Manage Users. In this window, QuickBooks lets you set up users for your own company. To do so, click New, and set up QuickBooks users from here. So you can see that in this subscription of QuickBooks, I can set up a regular or custom user, a company administrator, or in QuickBooks Online Plus, I can set up reports only or time tracking only users, which give limited access to users within your company. Let's set up an accounts receivable user, so someone who is going to do sales and invoicing. For this option, I'll select regular or custom user, then click Next. I'll select Limited and then select Customers and Sales. And then I'll click Next. I can then answer what type of user rights I want to assign to this user. So I'm going to limit this user to no access to user management, only viewing the company information, and no access to my subscription and billing. and then I'll click Next. Finally, I'll enter the email address of the person who is going to be an active user in QuickBooks. So I'll enter all the details as needed in the file, and then I'll enter the person's name as needed here, and then I'll click Next. Finally, I'll click Finish, and that sends an email and invites the user to set themselves up in QuickBooks Online. You can also invite your accountant from this window. So to invite your accounting professional like your bookkeeper or accountant, click Invite Accountant and do the same process. Enter the accountant's email address and name, and it will send an invitation, and they can accept it and be part of the accounting at that point. The second step in getting going after converting to QuickBooks Online is to customize your forms. To customize forms, click the Company menu and then click Custom Form Styles. In this window, we can create new styles or use one that's already existing. Click New Style to create one from scratch. In this window, we can choose from a template from the left-hand side. After choosing a template, you can click on the Edit button here to give it a name. And then I'll click the logo if I want to add it, and I can also change the color if needed. Then click Next. From this window, I can choose to edit one of the 4 items on the left-hand column: Appearance, Header, Activity Table, or Footer. The appearance lets me change things like the font and line height, the page margins, how it prints, and what the tables will look like. When I click Header, I can choose what information to display on the form, and I can even change the title of the forms under Form Names. So if I wanted to have a different name, such as Sales Invoice, I could change the name here. I could then add what information I want to display on the form under Company and Customer, and even add custom fields. Next, I'll click Activity Table. This will let me edit the body of the invoice. I can change the names of the labels, add or remove columns, and even change the width and order in the right-hand columns. Then I can add a few other advanced details as needed at the bottom of the window. Once you've added the information you need, you can finish by clicking Footer, and you can add messages to customers or footer information as needed. Once you've edited your template, click Save. And now you have a new template. To preview that template, you can click on it one more time, or click the drop-down arrow to the right and then click Preview PDF. And now you have a brand new template in QuickBooks. The third step after conversion is to recreate your memorized reports. To create reports in QuickBooks, you'll click on the Reports page, and you can find the reports that you need under one of the headings, such as Recommended, Management Reports, or All Reports, to view a bigger list of reports available to you. I'm going to click All Reports, and then I'm going to scroll down and choose Accountant Reports. From this window, I'm going to select to use the Transaction Detail by Account report. Then I'm going to choose All Dates, and then click Run Report. This report provides me with a lot of information over the time that I have created this report. You'll notice that I can edit the report by changing the column widths on the report. If I want to go further and customize this report, I can click on the Customize button. Now in this window, there are two key things that are important that you must note that are different than the desktop. First is the Change Columns. To add or remove columns in QuickBooks Online, click the Change Columns button. From here, I can remove columns from the left-hand or right-hand side by selecting them and then choosing Remove. I can add columns by selecting columns on the left-hand side and then clicking Add. I can also change the order of the columns by selecting the items to reorder and then choosing the appropriate arrows. Once I've got the correct columns, I can click OK, and QuickBooks will add those columns to the report. Another difference that's important to note is how QuickBooks handles the filters. In QuickBooks Desktop, you had a filter box. In QuickBooks Online, you do not have a label called filters, but rather it is going to be the lists, status, and match. Those three items comprise the filters available to you. To view those, you can click on Lists, and you can see from the different lists available all the options that you can choose. So if I scroll down, you'll see that I can also choose the status of transactions and any specific matching that I would like to do to further customize this report. So in our case, let's choose to filter by a type of transaction. So we'll choose invoice. Then I can click Run Report, and QuickBooks filters the report for me. Now, if I want to go further, I can go back to Customize, and I can remove the columns if I need to. So let's suppose that I would like to remove the description memo. I would click the column and then click Remove, and then click OK once again. Now I have a very simple looking report. Now, once I've got the report in a state that I would like to save it, instead of using what we call Memorize in the desktop version, we would use what we call Save Customizations. And I would simply give it a name, and then I would add it to my report customization group by clicking OK. Now, to view customized reports after, you can click on Reports again, and you'll see there's a My Custom Reports option, and there you see our invoice report. For each report in QuickBooks that was memorized, it is recommended that you reset up that report in QuickBooks Online through the Save Customizations option. The last step required after you convert to QuickBooks Online is to make sure that your accounts are reconciled. To reconcile accounts, click on the Company menu and then click Reconcile. Select the account that you would like to reconcile. In our case, we'll choose Visa. Next, click Reconcile Now. Now I'll enter the statement ending date, and then I'll enter my ending balance. Then I'll click OK. At this point, I'm going to go through and reconcile my account like I normally would. Now you'll have to do a reconcile for all of the history in QuickBooks Desktop, as the reconciliation comes over unreconciled. However, this should be made easy if you've done your reconciliations in QuickBooks. You can print off what we call a reconciliation detail report, and you can reconcile up until that point and just leave the outstanding or unreconciled transactions in your bank or credit card account, and that will make one big reconcile, and it will make the following reconciles very easy and bring you up to date very quickly. Once you've chosen the transactions and you've got your amount to zero, you're then ready to go and click Finish Now and complete the reconciliation. And that's the last step that you need to do the post-conversion task that we talked about at the start of this webinar. Now that you've walked through a conversion from setting up your QuickBooks Online subscription to preparing for the conversion to converting, you may have some questions. Intuit's here to support you all along the way. If you have any questions, please give our sales team a call at 1-888-829-8589. Or if you are in the middle of a conversion or just done a conversion and you have questions about how to use QuickBooks Online or what the conversion has done for you, please chat or give our tech support team a call at 1-855-253-1536. Lastly, if you want more information about training, please visit our website at allaboutqbo.ca to find more free training and to get more valuable tips and tricks for using QuickBooks Online. We'd encourage you to register for the webinar or view the video Introduction to QuickBooks Online to get more detailed training about the new product that you've just converted to. Thanks for watching this video and good luck using QuickBooks.